What's up everyone, it's Russo. I hope everyone is doing well. Please follow my Instagram at RussoLifts, just in case something happens to this YouTube channel. You can follow, message, and you can watch my daily story content on Instagram. I'll see you there. What's up everyone, it's Russo. I hope everyone is doing well. I have to get used to like looking up for this ASMR sip. Pen to water on deck. Alright, today I've made this video a couple times, but it's obviously the most asked question in my Instagram DM box at RussoLifts, and I am going to be doing a steroid one as well. So I'm not team SARMs or team gear over here. I just experiment with everything. I like certain things about SARMs. I like certain things about steroids, dislike certain things about both, but I'm gonna do a beginner SARM noob video and a beginner steroid noob video, what I think you should go with. So with SARMs, right? Obviously I wanna see blood work, right? I wanna see you go get independent blood work done. I have a video discussing how to get independent blood work done with Persona Labs, one of my sponsors. So read the description to get the independent blood work discount, but I wanna see you go get a male hormone panel done so you have baseline biomarkers, a snapshot of what's going on, so you know what biomarkers have changed by the end of the cycle. If you do not know this, you could potentially risk never recovering your libido completely, or knowing if you had an ongoing issue before even starting, aka your testosterone was already really low. If this SARM pushes you over the edge, it's like you think that the SARM crashed your test when really, the SARM pushed you over the edge, but you're already really low anyway. So 100% please get blood work. So many of you don't. I was the noob who didn't. I have provided so much information on how to get blood work without a doctor, without a doctor's appointment. Get it independently emailed to you so only you can read it. No one has access to it. It doesn't go on any private record or anything, and you have the peace of mind constantly keeping a log of blood work. If you want to be an enhanced athlete, right, you better get used to having stacks of blood work, right? Document it over the years, see what's normal for you, see what constantly changes for you, see what harm mitigation and cascading side effects you personally fixed with your setups, and then go from there, right? I'm not a magic genie. No coach is a magic genie. Without a snapshot or actual hardcore numbers and data that we can look back on and see what is going on, it's gonna be very hard to deal with an issue. So if you can't afford blood work, if you can't afford, the diet that comes with any of this, and you can only afford the SARM, maybe just save up for a later time. My 2 cents. All right, let's get into it. So I'm just gonna go over what I did for my first SARM cycle. This was before I was what I lost my natty card with, so this is nothing fancy. So I went with MK2866 Osterine. I've made multiple videos. I'll link the full in detail video. This is not what this video is about, but if you want to hear the history, the background, why it was developed, and everything in between as far as that is concerned, by all means go check that video out. But that's the SARM I went with. It's one of the most studied SARMs. Technically LGD 4033 is the most studied SARM currently and is being progressed in the literature as we speak, but Osterine has been one of the ones that's been mostly tried all around the world by lab rats with very little to low side effects, as far as not mega dosing it or abusing for a long period of time. Obviously there's going to be a negative HDL LDL skew, that sort of thing. That happens anytime you go on androgens, and then you obviously will have to deal with hormonal suppression if you're not going to be under a testosterone base. But for this video's purposes, I'm going into what I did. I had no testosterone base under this. Is before I pinned any gear whatsoever, and this cycle went on for 7 to 8 weeks. As far as the dosage is concerned, I started out at 20 meg a day and then pyramided up to 30-40 meg a day, finding 30 a day to be the sweet spot. I was in a cut. I'll have Andrew throw up a video of my first cycle Baby Russo, as you can see. So basically when I would cut natural, I would lose all my muscle and strength on the cut, and I would just kind of look stringy at the end. Basically with the Osterine, I gained strength as well as maintained and held all my tissue, because you know SARMs were developed to help against muscle wasting diseases, including dieting. So yeah, it gained me strength. I got a harder, more vascular look. As far as mentality, it does not cause any sort of roid rage or anything like that. I actually enjoy Osterine the most, not for really the muscle gain, but really just for the mental effect, right? Always makes me mentally feel up and up, super confident, not angry whatsoever, very happy, and that was what always drew me back to Osterine. But yeah, I did that. As far as the PCT setup I personally did, I did a Remistane for a negative estrogen feedback loop, and I did that for around 2 to 4 weeks, I believe, and then I started at 50 milligrams a day and I pyramided up to 100. I did notice heart palpitations at 100, so I settled at 75 milligrams per day. Arimistane is a suicidal aromatase inhibitor, so very, very mild AI just to cause a negative estrogen feedback loop, aka trick my body into making more natural testosterone. You could also go with a normal SARM like clomiphene, enclomiphene, Nolvadex, or Tormorphine for the PCT, but I would keep it relatively, you know, short. 4 weeks, honestly, is all I needed. Pulled my bloods after, recovered my testosterone to over 630, which is about where it was, right? I was always like around 700 in my peak natty. Like I wasn't like a freak of nature making 900, 1,000 naturally, you know, that's kind of where I sat. So I bounced the HPTA back. As far as hormonal suppression occurred, yeah, it occurred. I think it definitely knocked like 200 off during the cycle. I did not get mid-cycle bloods pulled on this. I actually started getting blood work after this cycle, right? So yeah, don't really know what the baseline test was, but I don't really think it was that much higher, honestly. Probably like 750, and I don't even think it was 800 max. So relatively close recovery, and that blood work I pulled, I remember I wasn't fasted like an idiot, so my score was probably even higher. But anyways, right, with Osterine, you have to worry about estrogen suppression. So basically, as the cycle goes on, your natural testosterone will be more and more suppressed, and since you're not injecting testosterone or injecting or adding anything exogenous that gives you estrogen, you know, your natural testosterone, you're relying on that for the estrogen conversion. So during the course of the cycle, your estrogen will slowly be crashing. Obviously, how your HPTA responds, your estrogen could theoretically crash. So you have to keep that in mind. That's what's going on, and know that, you know, you probably want to use a test base if you get your bloods pulled before the cycle and your testosterone is like 200, 300. Once you go on Osterine, it's going to knock that even lower. You're not going to have a lot of estrogen going on. It's going to cause horrible mood, joint pain, and it's not going to be, you're going to feel lethargic the whole time from the crashed estrogen. So keep that in mind. As far as on-cycle ancillaries, I would go with N-acetylcysteine. If you check my links in the description, you can get some from science.bio, but I would do that on cycle at 2 to 5 grams a day during the cycle to help mitigate the toxicity. As far as toxicity with Osterine is concerned, despite what you read on the internet, it is actually kind of hepatotoxic. I'm not gonna lie here, I don't lie here. It's more hepatotoxic around 30 plus milligrams a day, finding it very hepatotoxic around 50 milligrams a day, which is kind of what the bodybuilders blast with, is like 40 to 50 a day. Efficacious dosage, meaning what it was studied, I think was around 1 to 10 milligrams a day. And as far as females are concerned, I would not go over 15 milligrams a day, and would keep in mind that it could cause a weird estrogen reflux with, you know, a woman, depending on her body fat going into it, depending on her hormones going into it. If the female's already lean and shredded and, you know, recomped, and you're adding an androgen in there, very good androgen to add, because the viralization, as far as the deepening of a female's voice, not really going to occur. I have heard from a couple girls that DM me that their voice started cracking at 20 milligrams a day, but 7.5 to 15 seems pretty relatively close to Anavar, with theoretically less side effects. Not always the case, like I said, and you have to watch a body fat and how the E2 reacts from the AR being binded and everything. But that being said, not that bad. So that's kind of like a noob first cycle. That's a baseline. Obviously, injecting testosterone under it, you would have the nitrogen retention of the testosterone plus the hardening effect of the SARM. So that would yield more results if you just put, you know, anywhere between 180 to, you know, 350 if you wanted to blast and you're already big, already had a lot of tissue, already trained for a long time and had everything worked out as far as diet and training is concerned. You could do that with Austrian on top. But if you're doing it solo, you need to keep into consideration with the estrogen issue towards the end of the cycle. That's why I only did it 7 to 8 weeks. I think if I would have pushed to 12 weeks, I would have had not really much estrogen left over. But as far as like comparing Austrian to RAD 140, way less side effects. My blood pressure was always great. I didn't feel lethargic or anything. It helped my mood. And yeah, I had a lot of success with that cycle. Hopefully Andrew's playing like a couple clips of my first ever SARM cycle. It's completely video documented for you to dig through and watch my 18-year-old ass vlog my very first cycle and report real time all the side effects I experienced and everything I felt during the cycle. So that's a noob SARM cycle with PCT setups. Please read the full description below or the pinned comment. I will see you guys in my next video.